everyone, welcome back. So one thing that we're learning as a family and as husband and wife is that if we're serious about reconciliation in our family, then that takes action on our part. And it might seem like a really obvious thing, but for me and for us, it's difficult when you've been estranged from family or you have had a difficult past with a family member, be it a parent or a sibling or a cousin or somebody close, and there's been negative experience, but because of what we've gone through in our lives, we have come to realize that it's worth putting in the work to try to resolve the issues while we can. Do you want to say anything before I give an example?
Yeah, I feel like it's very important to work for reconciliation and forgiveness in whatever way we can, because we only live once, right? We're all only on this earth for a certain number of years, and either we can waste our lives being mad at each other and not forgiving and just having walls between me and other people for whatever reason, or we can try to figure it out. I can try to figure it out and say, you know what, let's sit down and talk about this, or do we need to bring in other people to figure it out? Maybe there was someone else who was involved in whatever situation happened. Just so that we don't go to our graves being mad and not having things resolved, and just especially if it's family, God gives us family for a reason. We are all placed in the family that we're in for a reason, whether we know it or not.
Yes.
And either we just sort of take our family for granted and don't care about them, or we see them as God's gifts to us, regardless of whether we get along with them or not, and do something about it.
Yeah, for sure. So this is personal, but I think I'm at the point where I can share it. So my example, and the example we're going to give today, is reconciling with my father, and he's been gone. He passed almost, what was it, 10 years now? No, almost.
Yeah, it's almost
It's
10
going to
years.
be almost 10 years, yeah, in spring. And first of all, I loved my dad a lot. I wish every day that this little guy could meet him, but he's going to hear all the stories and all of that as he grows up. But back to my dad and back to the topic, he left my mom and me. He was kind of in and out of the house, struggled with addiction, and I grew up very aware that there were issues, that my dad had some big problems that he wasn't able to overcome without a lot of help, and it made for conflict in my family between him and my mom, between me and him. Especially as I got older, I started to blame him a lot for being absent or being angry, and I guess it was kind of through my mom and through being around people who had a strong faith, and then also through talking to my dad and realizing that where those demons or those bad things came from, that I began to realize that I could be, instead of being like the next generation of conflict and drama and problems, that maybe I could be a help and fight for my family to get back together. And that's actually what I did. In high school, my dad had left my mom, and I went to visit him where he was living. You're okay, buddy. You're all right. And I talked to him about this exact thing. It's okay. I talked to him about this exact thing and told him, I said, I understand that we've been through a lot, and you've been hurt, and we've all been hurt, but we've also hurt each other, and we need to understand that we all played a part in this. And kind of in a miraculous way, at the end of my dad's life, he died from heart disease, but the miracle of the end of his life was that he did reconcile with my mom, and that I wouldn't say we had a happy ending. It wasn't like everything was just great all the time, but we were together and able to care for my dad. And that just wouldn't have been possible if my mother and if the people who I guess gave counsel to us and my dad weren't willing to take action and fight for that reconciliation and not just accept that it was there. So that's my example.
I would say for me, as I said earlier, probably the most important thing for my family has just been to find ways to talk to each other and reach out to each other and not just have silence forever. And to realize that we're all just human beings, and that yes, a lot of mistakes happened in the past, but that they're not unfixable. That God can still work, and God does work and has, and can bring about huge changes that I never thought was possible.
Yeah, miracles.
Total miracles can happen and have happened, and I just pray that they keep happening, and that we do our parts to work towards that here on earth. And I mean, if that's just picking up the phone and calling, or doing a video chat, or sending a present, little things, or they might seem little, but that can warm a heart far beyond probably what we realize, especially somebody like this over here, little Amari. Sending a gift from him can go a very long way. And just Amari being Amari also goes a long way. He's a very joyful spirit, as you can tell. I love you.
But the point is for us that reconciliation and dealing with problems is very real, and it's not like we have a lot of advice to give to people, but just the encouragement that if you do have family issues, or if you struggle with addiction, or you have a family member who you can't get through to, like, don't just give up and keep trying, because it does matter, and there's always hope, even if there's years and years and years of sadness and problems. There's always hope, and God is always there and is bigger than all of us. So that's why we wanted to talk about this and share with you. All right. Okay, see you. Say bye. All right.